I really needed to play very early on. I would say that I recognized I needed to play to prepare for life, I would say, when I was 4 years old, because school didn't interest me very much. I didn't understand why we had to be in front of a desk, sitting down and not moving around and discovering life. So very early on, suddenly the courtyard in front of the classroom was really where I would birth, and where my imagination was alive, where I could be joyful, where I could create any worlds, because I think the solitude I was feeling was very, very strong as a little girl. First of all, because probably because of circumstances. My parents divorced, separated first very early on, and so I had to be in a boarding school at 3 years old. And I think playing was a way of creating a family, creating a place, creating friends, and it was the best time. So it always stayed in me, and I was organizing all sort of directing scenes with my friends, and until my mother took us back home with my sister, and she passed her exams and everything, and then she became a French teacher and a theater teacher. So I was lucky enough to have a mother who was really passionate about acting and directing and arts in general, and my father also was in the theater field. So I would go on tour with him when I was 11 years old with my sister, and we would travel around and prepare for the play to happen. So I was surrounded by the world of theater and the joy of sharing with the public and sharing the family kind of process. So my world was really, my dream was to be a theater actress, not a movie actress, I would say. And then I was in a theater class with my mother, and I was like doing all the male parts, which I found it more interesting than women parts mostly. So played a lot of classical plays, mostly, and Chekhov was really where my heart took. Because I think Chekhov has this amazing way of being so simple and so deep and true and alive. So I play all the male Chekhov plays I could possibly play. And then I moved to Paris when I was 15 with my sister, and we were alone together, and the world started for me. I was still at school. I passed my A-level, and I did create a theater class in my school, and I directed 2 plays, and I played in them and adapted the text for it. And my passion just took off. I knew what I wanted to do very early on, and I decided at 17 years old to be in the theater. I didn't know whether it was directing or acting. It didn't matter to me. It was just being there alive with other people and creating a world and so, but very early on I had to make a living. So at 18 years old I had no parents to help me. So when I got my exam, I just went to work, and in the evening I was just going through theater classes and really what I learned in those places, in the acting classes, is like, acting is like a descending into yourself. And it's not about making things, but it's about a real descending place. And that took me a while to get better and better at it, I think. And suddenly I realized as an actress that confronting a director, confronting a text, confronting a world was really where my fire could ignite. And I discovered more and more that these sacred places called art or creation or acting in my case became this kind of need of participating in life, and so I've been very lucky in meeting with great directors who allowed me, by their presence, more than the ideas, because I think the presence of an artist is stronger, for me anyway, than ideas. And so because acting is so physical, it's about incarnation. So how does it become true within yourself? It's a big question. And you don't always have the answer from the head, but it's really, that's why I'm talking about descending, because something takes place in the cells. It takes place first in the cells, and then it goes into your heart, of course, but into your mind as well. So it's relating all those levels that we have as human beings that's been really my passion. And is that all right?
Now, one of in your career, it's a very singular career and unique, because you work with such different kind of directors. And I think that from Godard to Leos, from Haneke to Antonio Miguel, all of them, you know, they are completely different the way they work with the actors, and how you are, you know, there are, I think, actors that they have their own way of working, and very difficult they accept to move. And you, I think you are always trying new experience in acting.
But for me, it's almost all the same. It's probably the same when you have different relationships. You all think it's the same love. And it feels to me that when I open myself, I open myself. That's why I'm talking about the presence of the director, because the more they allow in the way they're seeing or listening or being, the more I'm eager to go in there. So, but at the same time, I think it reverses. The more I go inside of it, the more they're also listening and looking at it in a different way. So there's a moment, it's really like a circle. It's not a pyramidal kind of relationship. It's a circle relationship. It's like a dance. And when you feel that, it's no boundary. There's no bad or wrong or right. There's no up and down. It's all the same. It's just a search, and it's like a burn as well, because as you're going the takes, it's something, some kind of fire that gets in move. And that's what I'm looking for. And I think directors I mostly have been working with, they might not put the same words on it, but the actual cooking of it is something you can't put words on and you can't put your hands on. It's just happening while you're doing it, and it's really, I'm repeating myself, a descending. You go together inside, and there's I think mostly it happens in silence. The deeper places where I go, I feel like it's a combination of not knowing what's going to happen, and yet during the preparation time you've done all your research, you know everything about the subject, you know, you try your best, you know, you prepare yourself totally, but while you're delivering it, you're giving it, you don't know exactly what's going to happen, and that's the magic of it. And I think when the director is also in that kind of position, he doesn't know then there's that's where creation together can happen. And that's why it's so magical, because I could have chosen to be a painter inside of my, studio alone, but I chose to be an actor because I wanted to be with the others. I find it more daring in a way. More difficult too, because you're not alone, but more daring also because I think acting is very feminine, actually. And the fact that mostly directors are men, I think it's, as a woman, I'm not a sexist at all. I've been, raised by a feminist, so it's not that. But I feel in the connection between man and woman, and being seen and heard, there's something as having the opening, the other side, the complement, but as well as the opposite. It just allows me to give something different, and that's a love process. That's why there's always a kind of seduction, even though you don't end up in the bed with the director or an actress, but there's still some kind of seduction that is at the top of creation, and it's beyond sex, but it's totally sexual as well. So that's the combination that I find it fascinating as well. Yeah, it's true that before, as a young actress, I was very obedient. I wanted to be good. I wanted to be loved. I wanted a father. I wanted to be seen, recognized. And after a while, it's not sufficient. It's not enough. So, and also going through a period of time, very difficult shooting. Suddenly, it makes you see life differently. And as when I was choosing films, I was always related to myself. After a while, you let go, or you're using yourself, of course, but it's the purpose is different in a way. You don't have to heal in the same way. And now it's true that I've been approaching a lot of directors because I think life is too short, and you've got to take action. I think life is about also taking actions and choosing the life you want to live, and not being passive, because the passivity of actors sometimes, I find it very sad in a way. And, doing the same thing over and over, for me, it's not creation. You have to go to the new. And what is the new? I don't know, but I want to tempt it. And of course there are directors I'm attracted to, because I think they're, like Bruno Dumont, his films are so special. Sokurov also, he's so special, he has his world, and I think they're very precious people. And I feel like life is too short. I'm almost dead. I don't want to die before doing some more films.
Because you came through, I don't know how you feel it now, this experience to give your, a lot of time to someone and to a film like Les Amants du Pont-Neuf that was so difficult to go through, and your energy, that have to be, in a way, from outside, you have this feeling that without there's this kind of, almost rage, that the film will never exist, and this is something that I never saw an actor make what you made on that period with the whole work with Carax. And this is something I think we cannot do again, but I think it's something that Mark really...
I was not the only one to make it happen, Denis Lavant as well, who was a producer as well, was very active, and Jean-Yves Escoffier, who's the DP, was very, very eager to finish the film as well. But I think, I'm a kind of a weird producer kind of actress. and you know that. Because I think, yeah, I have some kind of an vision of some, ideas, and whether it is happening with me or not, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But I feel like when there's an intuition, you have to express it and go forward. But at the same time, I like to be more kind of also coming from outside. To me, I feel like I'm like an engine working by myself. But yeah, it's been a passion. When you have ideas. Lately, 2 years ago, actually, I had an idea. I was wondering. It was about women, really, and I thought, who can I give it to? And then I thought of, Olivier Assayas. I worked with him. I was so frustrated working with him. I felt he had no connection with actors and no connection with me. And I felt really kind of pissed off with him. So I said, okay, I'm going to propose him then. And so I called him and I said, what do you think of that idea? I provoked him. I said, I'd like you to go further, with women. And he said, well, let me think about it for 2 weeks. I'll come back to you and we'll see whether it works or not. And then 2 weeks after, he was kind of, okay, I think I have something here. And then a year and a half after, he wrote the script and we shot. We stopped shooting a month ago. And while we were shooting, I was just thinking, I'm just living my dream. Because he's really daring it. He's been writing for women. He's been like beyond what I expected. And it gives me so much satisfaction. Because it's like, I think directors see in actors, but I think actors can see as well in directors. And so we can grow together. It's not only on one side.
And I think once, 3 or 4 years, a little bit more, you accept less projects and dedicate much more to the dance, the painting, even the readings theater. You just made a reading to John Berger, Avignon, all of this. And it was, you made it like to stop a little bit, or it was just a moment of your life, or you go on with all these projects and
No, I never stop. I don't think, I'm stopping. It's just that it just happened that I was being massaged by a woman. She said to me, do you want to dance? And I said, yes. And she actually is the wife of a dance producer. And so I met with Akram Khan. And then he said, do you want to try 2 days in the studio, see if we would work together? And I did. And then we said, okay, let's get an appointment for in 2 years. And we do a dance show together and co-creation. And that's what we did 2 years after. Yeah, for 2 years. Yeah, it was crazy, but I wouldn't do it again because it's so hard. But now I'm aware what dance to do and how difficult it is. But movement has always been a fascination for me. Because I think because as an actor, you're going through emotions, and there's always movement in emotion. It's this. You can feel some kind of immobility, something so stable inside you, but from this, there's a lot of movements, and that's always been a fascination for me. And it's the same with painting. I always like starting with the eyes because that's this kind of immobile place in a way. It's the inside of the brain in a way, of the heart, and from there everything is being created. But enacting the movement also is, that's why silence and being so still allows any movement. And for me, it's like a birth each time, like when there's a take, for a film, there's always a birth and a death as well, especially when we change shot. And that's always a sort of a fascination for me, because this place belongs to another time, another space, and that's what I like about it, because it's you use your experience of life, but it's actually getting into the core of a specific moment, specific place that you can share with others. And I don't know, and I mean, it's probably creation, right? It's creation, and I'm bored being a creature. I want to be a creator.
And talking about this, you never, some of the fantastic films are made by actors or actors. You have never thought in the other side of the camera, or what you think that should be possible one day
it should be possible, but you have to be so in tune of what you want to say, because you're using 2 hours of people's life. I feel so much for that, that it really depends what you want to put together. I mean, of course, I have ideas and stuff, but also I've never been really frustrated as an actor with a director, because I think the creation happens together with others. So I don't feel frustrated about it. But at the same time, I think you have to have the courage also to go into another field. And it probably will come. But if I die, I'm okay. But I would like to try. Sometimes, my latest film, there was no rehearsal. So you've got to plunge into it without thinking. And that's the deal. And with Kieslowski, for example, we had to repeat 5 times and 1 take. And the thing is, with Kieslowski, I would repeat and do it, well. And then the take, and they said, but you didn't do exactly the same as you did on the rehearsal. I say, of course not. I'm not aware of what I'm doing. That's the deal. I'm plunging into it, and that's the risk I'm taking. As you're taking the risk as well with me, we have to, both of us, not know. So there's been some adjustments, but mainly I don't want to know what's going to happen. I know I'm in the mark and all that. I'm lucky enough that I'm usually okay with that. I don't have to I'm not a meter away, or I'm usually quite precise because it's in me. But nevertheless, inside, I somehow know how to relate to what I'm playing, if I prepared well, or if I'm present. But the moment it happens, it's like the painter. If you say, do you know exactly what you're going to do? The painter says, no, let me do it, then I'll tell you afterwards. But not before. It's the same with acting. It's a movement. It's a gesture. And so I allow myself not to know. So sometimes it drives some directors crazy, but that's the deal. Haneker is very precise in that way. He likes to be almost like music, so with a measure. But also he's happy to be surprised by what's happening. So it's an adaptation you've got to have. But for me, that's the challenge of the take. And that's why I love doing it. I can do it 100 times. I would love to do it 100 times. Because for me, it has to be like the first time. It should be like this when we make love, right? With Akram Khan, the dancer and choreographer I work with, what we did is that we improvised a lot, and we recorded our improvisations together for quite a long time. And then after that, we would watch it together and choose the parts we liked. We knew it was about a relationship, So what the question was like, what could I bring to dance as an actor? That was my main question, because I'm not a dancer. I don't have the muscle. I was not trained at 7 years old, repeating movements and having this, core, strong core as a dancer. So how do I invent myself into that world? It was a huge question for me and very challenging. And of course I was training all the time, every day, but still, when it comes to exercise, it's one thing. When it comes to movement, it's another world. And what I discovered is that emotion is my truth. If I start from my feelings, from my heart, from my cells, that would make me dance. So how would be the movement from a feeling more than exercises, repeated exercises? So I actually invited my acting coach to come and work with us, Akram myself. We worked with her for about a month, and it was so interesting, to work with her as well, because it really combined those big questions about dance and acting. How can we relate it? What I faced was the difficulty was the memory of the body was different, because I trained my memory emotionally, because I don't learn the lines. I can't. I can't act with just my lines being in the head. The memory has to come from inside. So how would I memorize the body movement with what I am, and my memory system? So I actually had to learn the movement through emotions. And that's how I would learn a movement through that. So I had to invent a system in a way, but I have to tell you, sometimes it was hell, because I didn't remember anything. And so I had to work so hard, and because it's really a training, you train as dancer to repeat things, and it comes into your body. And as for me, as an actor, if I have the emotional memories, it's there. The lines comes just right, when I know what I'm doing inside. So it was big work, a lot of struggle, a lot of conflicts as well, but a lot of reward as well. Yeah. I think in a way we're all shy when it comes to be naked in front of people, physically or emotionally. There's always a shyness. But my way to overcome my shyness is when what I have to play is stronger and more important than myself. It's as simple as that. That I'm serving something bigger, higher, more interesting. I'm using everything I can in order to make it into an art form. And I'm very lucky because I can use anything of my life, my crappy sides, my dark, whatever, the joy I want to share into a bigger space. And that's, for me, that really creates the freedom. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Paula. I was wondering, not so much about the shyness, but have you ever been proposed with a character or in a film where maybe you felt blocked or you didn't know exactly how to approach this character and felt maybe stuck or even afraid to fail, and how you overcame that
yeah.
pursuit?
The blockage can happen because there's a lot of pressure, whether it's outside pressure, the weather pressure, or whether within yourself, sometimes you're not there. The presence is not there. But I believe if you start preparing from very in the morning and you have all your prep with you, It never goes away. So it really, the prep is the key for me. But what I found is that the best way to deblock when you're blocked is to accept the blockage. When you accept that you're really the worst actress, the worst being you can possibly think of, when you really accept deep, deep, deep inside of you, it's just by miracle, it just happens. So it's just accepting that you're nothing, 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 nothing. It's as simple as that. And I have to say that it's humility is the first step. If you don't start from the bottom, you cannot rise. And when you know that, there's no fear anymore. And I have to say, in the day of shooting, you don't know how many times I'm telling myself that. Because it's the best medicine. Because then your ego doesn't start like this. You need your ego in order to go somewhere. But it shouldn't get in the way. You're using it as a tool. It's the best tool. It's what you have. But then it's a tool. It's not the purpose. It was physical in a way, but it seems to me that I was not in my body, in a way. So it was, you know, there were sexual scenes, and I was walking a lot in high heels, 20 degrees under zero in Paris, in a bad winter. But for me, I was not related to the inside somehow. It's my voice. My voice was not in my body. But it was a challenge because I was chosen like 3 days before shooting, and it was difficult to play in a way because it was, I mean, I had no protection. I was just going and trusting André Téchiné, who was loving with me. He was really like a mentor, like a father. And I had no, you know, kind of view, bad or good, what we were doing. It was just going there. And that was my, as I say in the film, it was my luck, in a way. Yeah. But my family didn't like that film, I imagine.
There are actors that they cannot see one, you know, even one image of them. You know, it's incredible. I remember Marcel Mastroianni, for example, tell me, I cannot see the films that I make. It's impossible. I cannot see myself.
No, while we're shooting, I don't like to see any dailies. I'm not interested in watching the dailies. But afterwards, I want to see what the difference between the inside experience and the outside experience. It's like two worlds. And sometimes I feel, well, you know, of course, that's why it's better not to go to the editing room, probably, because, you know, you would choose other things than the director. But the director, I think, really is at his best potential in the editing room, because he really makes the film then. But it's the director's, you know, world. But sometimes I like directors asking me what I think before they close the editing, because the breathing, the inside breathing we have is, the actor has a specific journey that is not always revealing, I mean, saying. So I feel like sometimes we can help on certain links to be made. Yeah. But I watched the film at least once afterwards. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's life. Shooting is life. So yeah. But sometimes very dangerous, actually. Sometimes physically very dangerous. I almost died several times. which is true. But it's part of it, you know. You have to trust it's going to be all right, but you've got to go for it. That's why sometimes I go to an improvisation class in New York. It's Susan Batson's class, and it's called Private Moment, and you make an improvisation, and you never stop. It's somebody from outside that stops you. And once I broke my hand, but she was not there actually. Somebody stopped me, but it was too late, because there's a moment as an actor you have to abandon yourself. That's the deal. You don't act. That's why we need directors to see and stop and be a guide. But as an actor, you've got to offer yourself. You have to abandon yourself. And that's the joy of it. That's the challenge and the joy of it. But you've got to trust the person. Yeah. I was lucky to have a lot of directors. I really changed my life, revealed me. So it's hard to give names in a way, because hard to answer. And I wanna. There are some. I think we are everything. So you have it. It's in you. It's just you have to link with yourself and her. What are how do you relate to her? I haven't worked on a failure, so I wouldn't give you any. But no, there's always a link you can make. We can play. In my opinion, we can play everything. Which is how you link it. It shouldn't link in the head. It has to link below. Yeah.
Je vous demande aujourd'hui une autre chose. Est-ce qu'on peut vous écouter quelque chose, un mot, 2, 3 en français?
Je parle en français.
Allez, Juliette.
Mon désir le plus profond, c'est en fait d'atteindre chacun dans son individualité, dans son histoire, dans ses couleurs différentes, ses ombres différentes, ses lumières différentes, pour apporter un espoir de transformation. C'est en fait mon souhait le plus profond. Parce que je crois que la transformation, c'est ce qui nous... C'est notre cadeau à nous vivants. Et c'est pour ça que je suis passionnée par ce métier, parce que c'est le métier de la transformation. Et ce n'est pas qu'une transformation émotionnelle, mais physique. Ça parle des cellules. Et c'est pour ça que je crois que je fais le plus beau métier du monde.